stop. Before you tell yourself, I just need to be nicer, more patient, more understanding, ask one brutal question. If playing fair really worked, why are the most polite, honest people so often the ones getting discarded, while the shameless, strategic ones end up with the promotion, the power, the control? Why does the coworker who cuts corners climb faster than you? Why does the partner who cares less control the relationship? Why does the politician who lies best win while the one who tries to stay decent gets eaten alive? You already feel it. The game is not fair. It was never designed to be. But you were trained like it was. That script sounds noble, but look at your life. Look at the times you forgave when you should have walked, stayed quiet when you should have cut, helped people who would never bleed for you. Did the universe send you a medal, or did people realize you would tolerate almost anything as long as you could still see yourself as good? Here's the dangerous truth. Power does not belong to the fairest. It belongs to the most realistic, to the ones who see human nature as it is, not as school and movies told them it should be. To the ones who are willing to be ruthless, strategically, surgically, when softness will get them destroyed. Ruthless doesn't mean heartless. It means you are finally willing to kill illusions before they kill you. Machiavelli understood this long before self-help, therapy accounts, and boundaries became trendy. He watched leaders crumble because they tried to be loved by people who only respected strength. He watched states collapse because rulers insisted on playing fair in a game run by wolves. You've probably seen that quote as a meme, a caption, a dark aesthetic post. But this isn't aesthetic, it's physics. Love is conditional. Love fades when you stop pleasing people. Love disappears the moment your usefulness drops. Fear, properly understood, is simply this: the knowledge that if someone crosses you too far, they lose access. Not fear of violence, but fear of consequence. Right now, most people in your life are not afraid of losing you. That's why they speak the way they do. That's why they push the way they do. That's why they keep forgetting your limits. They know you'll stay. They know you'll explain. They know you'll forgive. The problem starts with how you see yourself. Machiavelli would laugh, not because goodness is useless, but because goodness without power is prey. You can be kind and still be a target. You can be fair and still be the one they sacrifice first when the room gets nervous. Read that again. People don't feel your soul. They don't feel how loyal, how forgiving, how pure your intentions are. They see what you appear to be. If you appear soft, you will be read as safe to use. If you appear terrified of being disliked, you will be surrounded by people who weaponize their disappointment. Playing fair has been your costume. You appear harmless. You appear available. You appear endlessly understanding. And the world has responded to the appearance, not the truth of how heavy that's been for you. Think back. How many times did you say, I just want this to be fair, while you were the only one compromising? You lowered your price so the client wouldn't get upset. You forgave the friend one more time so you wouldn't feel petty. You stayed late at work so your boss wouldn't think you weren't a team player. Fairness became a one-way contract. You bleed, they benefit. Machiavelli's darkness is that he never, ever assumes people will act out of pure goodness. He assumes they will act out of interest. And when you read him that way, his evil advice becomes brutally protective. He's not telling you to become a monster. He's telling you what happens to non-monsters who walk into a den of them with their hands open and their head down. He puts it in a way that sounds harsh until you realize it's already playing out around you every day. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous, ungrateful. They forget what you did as soon as you stop doing it. Fickle. They love you on Monday, doubt you on Tuesday, replace you on Wednesday. False. They will say, "I'd never do that to you," right up until they do. Cowardly. They will stand with you when it's easy and vanish when it costs them something. Covetous. They will want what you have more than they want you. You've seen all of that in family, in work, in friendships, in love. Machiavelli calls it Tuesday. Ruthlessness starts when you finally admit, "I'm not the exception. I don't live outside of human nature." When you realize that, you stop staking your survival on other people being better than they've proven themselves to be. You still hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. And here's where your idea of fair quietly dies. Because fairness, the way you were taught, is symmetrical. I did this for you, so you'll do this for me. I stayed, so you'll stay. Machiavelli would tell you a different formula. Never measure people by what you did for them, measure them by what they do when they no longer need you. When the project is over, do they still answer? When you stop paying, are they still respectful? When you say no, are they still kind? That's where real character reveals itself, and when it does, ruthless power doesn't argue, it adjusts. You know what that feels like. You saw the red flags early. You felt disrespected on the second or third incident. And what did you do? You delayed. You needed them to make it absolutely obvious. You needed proof so undeniable that even your guilt couldn't argue. The wise act when they first see the pattern. The fool acts when the pattern has already broken them. Same decision, different timing. Ruthlessness is mostly speed, not in jumping into relationships, jobs, or deals, but in jumping out once the truth is clear. You stop offering 10 more chances after the 5th betrayal. You stop staying months in places you knew on day 3 were killing you. You stop needing the pain to be unbearable before you finally move. None of this means you stop being kind. It means your kindness stops being suicidal. You can still give, but you stop giving without memory. You can still forgive, but you don't forget what their apology cost them. You can still trust, but you make sure your entire future doesn't hang on one person's mood or mercy. So here's where part 1 leaves you. At a funeral. Not for your heart, not for your goodness, but for the version of you that thought playing fair was enough. The version that thought the world owed you balance because you tried to be balanced. In the next parts, we're going to go deeper into Machiavelli's darkest lessons and translate them directly into your life. How to control perception when your intentions don't matter. How to use fear of loss instead of begging for love. How to walk away in a way that upgrades your power instead of breaking your soul. You don't have to stop being a good person, but if you want to stop being an easy person, you will have to become more dangerous. Quietly, calmly, surgically dangerous. And tonight is where that evolution starts. You felt it in part 1, that little crack in your brain where you realized, I wasn't fair. Because you don't want to turn into the very people who hurt you. You just don't want to be their favorite target anymore. So let's pull Machiavelli's darkest lessons down from dusty books and drop them straight into your life. Not as theory, as rules. First rule, when you have to hurt, don't nibble. Decide. You've done the opposite your whole life. You soften every blow. You break up but keep texting. You set a boundary, then keep making exceptions. You say, I can't do this anymore, and then you do it one more time, 10 more times. You think you're being kind. You're not. You're dragging out the pain, for you and for them. Machiavelli didn't sugarcoat this. Brutal? Yes, but look at how you actually live. You don't end toxic situations. You bruise them. You don't fire the employee who keeps causing problems. You give feedback for the 7th time. You don't leave the relationship that's clearly dead. You take a break and leave the door open. You don't mute the manipulative friend, you mute them and hope they get the hint. Half injuries create long wars. Clean cuts end them. In real life, severe doesn't mean cruel. It means final. When you're done, you're done. You don't keep the job that's killing you until it gets better when you already know it won't. You stop babysitting the problem. You remove your energy, your access, your contribution, fully. Second rule. In power, perception beats intention. Every single time. You've been obsessed with having a good heart. That's nice. But ask yourself, who actually benefits from your good heart if nobody reads you that way? Okay, but do people see you as loyal or as desperate? Okay, but do they see you as generous or as someone who doesn't know how to say no? People judge by what they see, not what you meant. They see you taking crumbs from a relationship and staying. They see you posting about how drained you are and then going right back to the same circle. That's the eye test. To them, it doesn't matter that, secretly, you're hurting. It doesn't matter that your intentions are pure. They see someone who tolerates what they hate, and the world learns from your tolerance more than your tears. Ruthlessness here isn't pretending to be something you're not. It's aligning your appearance with your real standards, not your fantasies. If you say you're done, your actions stop contradicting your mouth. If you say you're not available 24/7, your phone habits reflect that. You stop presenting yourself as a mat and then crying when people wipe their feet. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop making it look like you're okay with what's destroying you. That might mean dressing like you respect yourself, not like you rolled out of bed and gave up. It might mean speaking slower and with more certainty, even if your heart is racing. It might mean saying, "No, I don't do that," instead of the soft, "I'm not really good at that," haha, they can still push through. Third rule, your power is the average of who you keep around you. That sounds sweet, but ask yourself, why do powerful people guard their inner circle like a fortress? Why do the most dangerous people in any room move in tight groups, not with a crowd of clowns? When people look at you, they don't just see you. They see who you tolerate, who you invest time in, who you let sit closest. You can be sharp as a knife, but if your circle is a pile of dull, messy, jealous, chaotic people, that's your reflection. But loyalty is not staying in rooms that keep shrinking you. Loyalty is not letting someone pull you backward every time you try to grow. Ruthless honesty. Some of the people you call friends are people who love you weak. They love you when you're confused, available, broken, and down to complain for hours. When you start changing, setting boundaries, wanting more, moving differently, they get irritated. They joke about you. Machiavellian power says, take note. Don't debate their feelings. Watch their patterns. Who celebrates quietly when you win? Who goes weirdly silent? Who shows up only to collect tea and then disappears? Who gives you advice that keeps you stuck while calling it real talk? You don't need to hold a trial. You just stop centering them. You stop running your dreams past people who don't risk anything for theirs. You stop asking for feedback from people's own life is a mess. You stop giving the loudest voice in your head to the least disciplined people in your phone. Here's where all three rules fuse into something much darker and much more freeing. You injure patterns, not just moments. You control what the eye sees, not just what your heart feels. You curate a court around you, not just a crowd. You stop being fair to people who are wildly unfair to you. Instead, you become fair to yourself first. You may acknowledge what they're going through, but you adjust access. That's the injury Machiavelli talks about, the removal of privilege. It means when you enter a room, you don't wait for everyone else to tell you who you are. You walk in already behaving like someone whose time is expensive. You talk less. You listen more. You watch who's trying too hard and who's too comfortable using you. You understand that appearance isn't fake, it's a filter. And it means you start pruning, not with a chainsaw of drama, with quiet scissors. Less time here, fewer replies there. Not being available for every crisis. Letting some chats die. Letting some invitations go unanswered. You're not being cruel. You're choosing not to let reckless people sit in king seats in your life. Ruthlessness is not chaos. It's structure. It's deciding that your energy is not a public resource. It's deciding that your kindness is not an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's deciding that your love, your presence, your loyalty are earned, not just taken because you're scared to be alone. In part 1, you buried the lie that playing fair automatically protects you. In part 2, you've just taken in 3 of Machiavelli's darkest lenses. Hurt once and decisively when you must. Understand that the I rules how people treat you, and accept that your court exposes your power more than your speeches do. You're not learning this to become a villain. You're learning this so you stop being their favorite victim. Here's the part nobody told you about becoming ruthless. Once you stop playing fair, you don't just stop getting used. You start bending reality, quietly, the same way other people used to bend you. Up until now, your life has mostly been reaction. They lie, you hurt. They pull away, you chase. They offer crumbs, you convince yourself it's a meal. You've been playing defense in a game where the other side doesn't even admit there are rules. Now we flip that. Ruthlessness is when you stop being the piece and start becoming the player. Let's be very clear. The world will not suddenly become kind because you finally woke up. No, the same selfishness, cowardice, and opportunism Machiavelli wrote about is still here. The difference now is you're going to move through it like someone who knows the terrain. That some people are just blessed with power, money, and respect, and you were somehow born on the wrong planet. Machiavelli didn't buy that. He absolutely believed in luck, fortune as he called it, but not the way you've been using it as an excuse. Half is chaos. Half is on you. Half is the family you were born into, the country, the timing, the random events. The other half is what you tolerate, what you walk away from, what you prepare for in silence, what you demand when the moment appears. You can't control if your boss is unethical. You can control whether you build skills and networks so your entire survival doesn't depend on that job. You can't control if your partner suddenly decides to cheat. You can control whether you made them your whole identity or kept a self outside of them. You can't control that people are selfish. You can control whether their selfishness keeps finding you wide open or meets a date. Ruthlessness lives in that second half, in everything you can control that you've been pretending you can't just so you don't have to act. The next dark lesson: stop trying to win as a good guy in a game designed for foxes and lions. You've been a sheep with excellent morals. How's that working out? The lion is force, presence, the ability to say no, to shut things down, to strike when needed. The fox is cunning, reading people, seeing traps, smiling while you take notes. You've likely been neither. You've been the open book, not strong enough to scare the wolves, not sharp enough to notice the traps. Being ruthless means you stop trying to be only lion or only fox. If you're only lion, only force, you get baited into obvious traps. You react to every insult, every post, every provocation. They can pull you by your ego like a ring in your nose. If you're only fox, only clever, you see every angle, every risk, every possibility, and you freeze. You become a spectator in your own life, watching plays you never run. You need both. Fox mind. You assume there are traps. You assume people have incentives. You put 2 and 2 together. You notice when their words and actions don't match. You watch who they are when they think you don't matter. And then, lion body. When the pattern is clear, you act. You end it. You ask for more. You walk away. You negotiate like someone who has options, not like someone begging the universe not to abandon them. Think about the last time someone disrespected you, and you did nothing. You overruled it with hopeful thoughts. No lion. Think about the last time you exploded on someone who clearly enjoyed your reaction. That was lion without fox. They got exactly what they wanted, your power on display, out of control. Ruthlessness is when the fox and lion start working together. You feel the urge to blow up? You see a pattern of disrespect? Now, the darkest truth. People care more about what you cost them than what you mean to them. That's not how most humans work. Machiavelli saw it in politics. You see it in your life. Harsh? Yes. Real? Also yes. Translated, people will cry at funerals and move on, but take their money, their status, their advantages, and they never forget. Lose a parent? Life eventually finds a way forward. Lose what you own, what supports your ego, what keeps you comfortable? That sting lingers. What does that mean for you? It means if you want to stop being walked over, you have to stop making your presence cost nothing. You have to stop being all emotion, no edge. You have to stop believing that the people around you will prioritize your feelings over their comfort, their habits, their convenience. Most won't. So you change the cost structure. If they lie to you, the cost is losing your trust, and that actually means something now. You don't pretend to trust them just to keep the vibe nice. If they consistently waste your time, the cost is losing your time. You answer slower. You become less available. You stop dropping everything for them. If they disrespect you publicly, the cost is distance, less access, no more private loyalty to someone who publicly humiliates you. You don't scream about the cost, you embody it. That's when respect starts to appear, when you quietly ensure disrespect is expensive. Here's the paradox. The more ruthless you become about reality, the less chaotic your life gets. Because you stop clinging where you're clearly not wanted. You stop giving discounts to people who would never pay full price for you. You stop staying where the dominant emotion is resentment. Power, in the end, is not just what you can do to others, it's what you refuse to keep letting others do to you. You refuse to keep oversharing with people who use your vulnerability as ammunition. You refuse to keep working overtime for people who would replace you in a week. That's ruthlessness. Not random cruelty, but non-negotiable self-respect. So who are you becoming after all this? You're becoming the person who doesn't argue once the truth is obvious. You adjust. You're becoming the person who doesn't announce every boundary. You enforce. You're becoming the person who can love deeply without needing to be seen as good by everyone you leave behind. Here's your recap in plain language. You learned that being fair in an unfair game just makes you predictable prey. You learned that half your life is chaos and half is what you tolerate, cut, and build. You learned to be fox and lion, seeing the trap and still having the strength to do something about it. You learned that people remember what you cost them, not just what you feel for them. You learned that your new job is not to convince people you're good, it's to make using you a bad deal. Now the choice is simple and ugly. You can close this and go back to playing fair while everyone else plays for keeps. You can keep giving 10 chances to people who proved they don't care past the second. You can keep over-explaining your heart to people who only listen for leverage. You can keep calling it kindness while it slowly kills your respect for yourself. Or you can let this be the night something in you dies, so something sharper can live. You can decide that from now on, your goodness will wear armor. Your love will have boundaries. Your time will have a price. And your presence will never again be the cheapest thing in the room. If you're done getting punished for playing fair, tap like. If you're ready to become the kind of person they can't use, can't predict, and quietly fear losing, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Drop a comment with "Ruthless now" so I know you're not just entertained, you're done being the softest piece on the board. And send this to one person who has a good heart and a destroyed life, because nobody ever taught them how to protect it. Because this isn't self-help, this is strategy. This is war. And from this moment on, you're not just in the game, you're the fox and the lion they wish they'd never underestimated.